At this point in time in Westeros, it would seem that when there should have been peace after the Great White Walker War, many battles, though small and varies in size, were taking place or have already been completed. To the south, near House Baratheon, Prince Aegon VI Targaryen has conquered the stronghold fort of the Reach, now redubbed the Fort Baratheon, with his Victory Seagull, and the neighboring smaller area, of which both are under control of Lord Edric Baratheon, formerly known by his bastard name Storm, which Prince Aegon VI Targaryen had removed and knighted him a lord of the fort while he secures the abandoned castle House Blackfyre from long, long ago. The map is quite evident of the victory that stands as of today. Further towards the north, Queen Sansa's victory stands assured, for the battle of many houses, though still reviving from the Great White Walker War, were able to pull together and liberate House Tully once and for all, driving the former Lord Frey and his wife Jenna Lannister to accept the offer or face the ultimate penalty for being a heretic and disobeying King Brandon's orders to surrender the castle. Therefore, his movement is towards the former House Bolton, though it is still in question as to where the two surviving heirs of the Boltons are. No one seems to know because the castle has been abandoned for so long, and so the map shows clearly the victory of Queen Sansa. Unfortunately for House Baratheon, Gendry, who is not strong enough to take back the fort because he sent reinforcements to the campaign of Queen Sansa to do a blockade of Casterly Rock and the main Frey Kingdom, can only look on and hope that eventually, if Lord Edmure Tully and his wife can get their affairs in order, that his forces will come back and perhaps they can retake the fort. Until then, the most he can do is plan to confront under a banner of truce to find out who is this perpetrator and who was he leading or following at the time of the night raid, since most knights fight during the day. So, at this point, it now is down to only 2 battles remaining. One, Queen Margery Tyrell, soon to liberate Highgardens from the sellsword Bronn and those who had betrayed the house by siding with him, though only a few. Queen Margery has the higher standing, with most houses willing to fight on the side of House Tyrell, and the glory of Queen Daenerys Targaryen, who has yet to reveal herself, riding her new she-dragon, Rhaenyra, and 2 new dragons, will show herself as well to give Bronn an incentive to choose life or death. Then the final battle and conflict will be down to 2. Prince Aegon, Lilith, and soon to be joined by Lilith's long-lost brother, the many-faced god, will take on the Vizier, who's going to be passing very close to the Frey borders. Then there is the other battle, which may not be a battle at all, because House Stark, sole heir, although he is a three-eyed raven, and elected and appointed king of the realm of kingdoms, King Brandon, may choose being passive and not one to start a battle, give up freely the Red Keep for the installation of the brand new Iron Throne of Swords for the realm of kingdoms, for which will become the final victory for Queen Daenerys, Stormborn Targaryen, once slain, now risen from the dead. At the now reoccupied House Blackfire Castle from long ago, Lilith goes outside to the back area and sees that Prince Aegon VI is kneeling in meditation. His wife then comes up inquiring if everything's all right. I see he's busy. Yes, he is doing the meditation in the old Targaryen tradition and ways. Perhaps maybe we shouldn't disturb him. No, I wasn't about to. Your Grace, when your husband is finished, he wants to have Meleys, the Lady Warrior Knight, have men secure the borders. I see. I'm going to go inform her of this, and I shall return shortly. Very well. So Lilith then takes her leave. After a time, Prince Aegon VI Targaryen finally stands back on his feet, kind of stares blankly for a moment, then turns and sees his wife at the door as he comes in from the back way. Wow, look at you. What, you didn't think I could shave? You look so young. Well, so do you. But then again, I guess that's why I love you. Yes, and the fact that you didn't discriminate against me because I'm from the family lineage of Blackfire. No. Maybe other Targaryens had an issue at the time. But, my dear wife, you still have Targaryen blood in you. That is true. Well, I'm not displeased. You do look a bit better without that scruffy beard on you. You think that's funny? Well, no. I guess you wouldn't want me to scratch up your face with my scruffy beard all the time when I kiss you. No, I would not. Did Lilith inform you of what I needed to have done? Yes. She said she's going to inform Lady Warrior Meleys to have men secure the border. Yes, I don't want people just walking about like to and fro as by your leave without thinking that they're going to start snooping around. After all, we have a right to have our banners out, and they're probably going to want to know if House Blackfire is back in service. Yes, but they don't know that our strength did build. Yes, which kind of makes me wonder, how come you never decided to try for a fifth war? Well, long ago, those who chose exile rather than try a fifth war decided it was best to salvage the family lineage as opposed to being totally wiped out. And then again, we didn't know from back before I was born if we would be hunted down because we were bastards. But that's why House Golden Dragon was formed. Bastards should not be um, treated any differently than any other person. Granted, we may not have the same royal rights as those born of royal lineage. So, to define between men and women, boys were the bastards and women were the baseborn. But either way, we didn't have no legal claim to anything of House Targaryen. So we formed our own faction and made it a refuge for those bastard-born. Especially because when King Joffrey was in rule, though he was a bastard himself and he got really aggravated because he did not like hearing the truth, he decided to kill all other bastards to prove that he was a pureblood. But yet, we all know he was the son of the Kingslayer and his sister, Queen Cersei Lannister. Yeah, that is true. And it would have been interesting had something occurred where he could have been forced off the throne, but I guess someone who was kind of cunning and ran brothels. I can't remember what was his name. Oh, Peter Baelish. That's right. I was just a kid back then. He took care of that. Yes. Shame that what happened to him ended his life, but I guess then he did treacheries against House Stark, so he kind of brought it on himself. Yes, that is true. Melees then comes up. Well, we have the border secure, but we found somebody snooping around. An old man and about 6 red robe strangers led by a black robe stranger. Well, let us give them a warm welcome. Perhaps they'll have a good explanation as to why they're snooping around. So, with that, they go out front to the front gate. Well, old man, it seems like you lost your way. Perhaps you made a mistake and made a wrong turn. Huh? Oh, uh, wait a minute. Isn't this supposed to be abandoned? Well, it's unfortunate you should discover that it's not. Perhaps you should state your business before I decide to make sure nobody else knows we're here. Well, I am the Palace Visionary from Dragonstone. And who are you? I am Prince Aegon VI Targaryen, sixth of my name. Aegon VI. I was only under the impression there was Aegon on the wall, back to being Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. Well, see, that's the thing. You say you're a visionary on Dragonstone. Perhaps you might know that at the time I was born of Prince Rhaegar long ago, but my life was spared when a commoner's child, a baby, was swapped in my place. Oh, oh, yes. I take it they don't have that in the annals. No, they haven't recorded that you were killed. And who ordered that history? Well, that would be former, deceased Lord Tywin Lannister. Yes, the old bastard that got, what was it? Oh, right. He got killed on a shitter. If I could meet Tyrion Lannister, I would definitely shake his hand and thank him so much because he's the one that gave orders for this guy called the Mountain to rape my mother. And there's one I've yet to face. I hear he's still alive, Armory Lorge. I have special dealings I have to take up with him for killing my sister. Uh, okay. You wouldn't happen to know where this Army Lorch is, would you? Well, I'm not one to deliver news so one can be killed or assassinated. Well, let's just call it trial by combat, and I will find him. In the meantime, long as you're here, it looks like you're going to have to be my guest, and that's not a request. And you can tell those guys not to reach in their sleeves. You might be surprised there's more of us than there is of these 6 red-robed strangers led by the one in black. Oh, well, that's, uh, that's the, they were sent merely to protect me. And are you protected? Well, I guess it would appear I'm not, since I'm greatly outnumbered and, I happen on you by accident. Well, I will assure you right now, no harm will come to you. Uh, Lady Melees, would you show these red-robed priests, I presume they are, led by the one in black, guest quarters and treat them nicely and have some men pat them down. I don't want to find out that they came inside and had daggers or anything up their sleeves. Yes, I'll attend to that right now. All of you, you will follow me. And so they are led by several soldiers on either side of them to make sure they don't try nothing. As for you, I'd like you to come and meet my wife. So they make it back in the castle, and the visionary then comes before the Prince Aegon VI's wife. This here, you might find kind of interesting. She comes from a long lineage of those that Targaryens seem to have an issue with so long, long ago. Lena, this happens to be a unfortunate traveler who discovered that we are now occupying House Blackfire. Oh, I see. You're not going to hurt him, are you? He's only an old man. Well, I'm only 65. I'm not that old yet. Well, as I said, you're not going to cause him harm. No. I figured, as long as he's a visionary, he should document the true history if he wants to know how it is that I'm alive. Well, I'm not a historian. Well, you are now by my decree. All right. If you are Prince Rhaegar's son, and you were swapped out at birth, who would have swapped you out? Well, all in due time. I will explain this to you from the time of my birth. By the way, I've been hearing rumors, and I was wondering if you could clarify something for me, since you are a visionary. What type of visionary are you, first off? Well, I can see past, present, and future. You might be interested to know that someone has returned because the gods of fire and ice returned her to redeem herself for something that happened long ago regarding a Vizier. Yes, I've heard there's been a movement. Apparently some meddling dang fool Frey was grave robbing and woke him up. Yes, well now he's going to be our enemy. And here is someone who has the same ability as you, although she's a goddess of flame. Lilith comes in and stops short. The visionary looks kind of shocked. Wow, you're a tall woman. You're a short visionary. Cat starts laughing. This is kind of interesting. It's a situation. Well, he happens to be a visionary, and he came upon us by accident. I assured him there won't be any harm. Perhaps I can give him something to record in the annals, in case we don't, or at least I don't survive this battle with the Vizier that's on his way. Sounds like a great idea. And what visionary powers do you have? Which reminds me, do you have a name? Yes, actually. I am known as, well, Frederick, I guess is, people call me Fred, Frederick, Freddy, I don't know. Everybody just calls me the Palace Visionary. Well, I will call you Frederick then. I am Lilith. And the reason I'm so tall is because I'm sure you already know I'm a goddess of the flame. I was banished long ago, at the time when the Vizier was banished. I'm sure he's kind of briefly touched as to how I'm back. Yes, to redeem yourself. Well, the powers I have is past, present, and future foresight, as do I. I am also the guardian to Prince Aegon VI. And, if he is the true born son of Prince Rhaegar, that would make him Queen Daenerys' nephew. And you do know, then, that Queen Daenerys is probably not seen or heard of this one yet? No, she has not. Then your powers of foresight is proven true. Perhaps, although I wouldn't want it getting around too closely, because we have a mission to accomplish before one decides to conquer this world and pursue one known as the Dark Blue Star that shines brightly in the Valerian night sky. You know the star. Yes, I know you have the scroll of a great prophecy, a myth and a legend, a human who is going to eventually one day end up in Queen Daenerys' world after she has experienced a prophesied great loss of that which she conquers. It is unavoidable. They had foreseen it in the times before the Valerian Doom. Yes, I do believe that's accurate. Well, it will apparently be this one that she'll consider low in stature and frail, who shall be her champion. And I believe that she will bear him 6 children. And how you know this? Because I was alive at the time when the person wrote the scroll and gave it to the last one of 2 princesses at the time the Valerian Doom was starting. At least I was until I got banished. I had to read the rest of it after the Valerian Doom. I did not see her stored anywhere. My banishment occurred just before the Valerian Doom occurred. So it was only probably most likely moments later when the Valerian Doom hit, and unfortunately the old ancient city of Valeria had come to an end. I see. But perhaps, if you know of those in secret, you can let her know you've ran into her other nephew. And what of the Aegon VII? If I remember correctly, he's half Stark and half Targaryen, and he should already know now that he's not a bastard. Oh, yes, formerly Jon Snow. Well, he doesn't know that Aegon VI is alive either. Well, he can expect a visit from Aegon VI, because Aegon VII committed treachery and betrayed his aunt, the same aunt to Aegon VI. But as his guardian, it is not to become a too-personal issue, and he's not to begin Slayer either, because we have a certain mission we need to accomplish, and my long-lost brother should be on the way. This I do sense, since we both possess something of value that lets us know if either one of us are in the world. I understand. So, alright, well, I'm not a good historian, but I'll do my best. Well, I'm sure if you know how to write, I do, well, then you can write on a scroll, so you can put down correctly what exactly transpired when Lord Tywin, that son of a spearhead, tried to have me murdered by Gregor Clegane, the mountain who rides, which, from what I understand, Sandor Clegane and him ended each other's life at the time when my aunt took rage on the Red Keep. That is true. Well then, shall we begin? I shall get you something to eat, something to drink, and even though it's not a matter of choice, you are now my prisoner? No. Let's say I'm giving you guest rights and you're my forced guest, because the only way you're going to leave here alive is after you take the truth down. At least then Daenerys will know about me if we never should ever meet. Alright, well, I guess I can't argue with that. So, this is where then the story leaves off, because it is about to cover the time from when Aegon VI Targaryen, being a babe, was smuggled out by one once known as Valaris, the Master of Whispers, and the Spider. In this next continued scene of travel, the evil Dark Lord Vizier, Valdarr, continues making his movement, and seeing that there's not a whole lot of people in this known kingdom, who is a green seer, friend of Brandon Stark, the three-eyed raven, now starts entering into the Frey territory. The massive army continues on, laying destruction as they swath their way through for their destination to the old ancient city of Valeria. So they continue making their way, and it is quite the spectacle. And as this scene will show, the scary experience, and possibly barely missing coming across the last known Frey who was grave robbing. But the Vizier decides he's unimportant as long as he doesn't interfere, and continues on his way. And it will be a close encounter of the newly liberated House Tully, but should go without any incident. Oh, to smell that. What is it, my lord? I smell the last rat who woke me up. This must be the kingdom of rats. However, today's his lucky day. We're so close. No distractions. Move forward. As you wish, my lord. The mistress of whispers, Wendana, who's standing outside getting some fresh air, seems to see 3 ships in the distance. I see 3 ships. Do you see this? And they're sailing for us. So, in which case then, Daemon Second Blackfire, the bodyguard to Queen Daenerys, looks out. Everybody looks ready. There's 3 vessels coming from the Iron Islands. Grey Worm steps forward. Yara, Greyjoy arrives. Yara, yes, alliance of Queen Daenerys. I see. The handmaiden then shows up and looks out as well. Yes, and it seems that she has a few men with her and a bundle of something else in another man's arms, and she's coming ashore by boat. Well, I guess we better go down and greet them. We haven't had a visit from her in quite some time. So they all make their way down to the beach. So, as they all get out, of course, we all know that Queen Yara always has a serious look about her. All right, where is she? Where is who? Daemon, not sure what her question implies. I came here because I was under orders to make a special throne at the Iron Islands. It is made. Now, what I want to know is, where is Queen Daenerys? They say she's risen from the dead. I want to see her for myself. So that way we will know it's not some pretender or somebody making japes, which I would not myself find very funny at this point. I thought the same thing. Thought it was a bad joke. I have seen her. She lives. Well, if you say so, Grey Worm, then there obviously must be true. I don't see you being one to lie. Grey Worm never lie. All right. So, where's Kinvara then? She's the one that had ordered this to be made. Not that it looks anything special. Of course, the other one wasn't that special either, since everybody was fighting over the damn thing. Well, currently, she's inside the castle. Queen Daenerys is on a special alliance mission. She will return when she's done. She has 3 new dragons, and she is now a warrior queen with a Valerian sword made just for her. I see. All right, well, why don't we get to know one another? First off, who's this? I'm Wendana, the Mistress of Whispers. A Mistress of Whispers. Well, you'll last long and do really well here, my dear. The last person that was a Mister of Whispers, Daenerys fried his ass. You're going to do really well. Shakes her head with a smile. And you, I am Daemon II Blackfire, nickname Skull Splitter. Well, you may be tall. I don't see how you're going to be splitting any skulls. However, I thought Blackfires were supposed to be some enemy of the House Targaryen. Well, I'm sworn to be her bodyguard. That is my duty. Okay, well, I best do it well then. I already know who you are, Grey Worm. No one forgets a true honorable, distinguished commander like yourself. And how about you? I don't think I've ever seen you before. I am, kind of looks down a bit. I am the long lost sister of Missandei. I remember Missandei. You're her long lost sister. Yes, the short part of the story I could tell you is that when children, we were separated by these slavers long, long ago. She helped me escape so I wouldn't be captured. Unfortunately, she wasn't so lucky. And of course, you already know from what I'm pretty certain Queen Daenerys told you how she got free. But after some time passed, I heard the rumor something happened to my sister, and I went looking for her. And in any case, I ran into Grey Worm, and, well, Daenerys can tell you the rest when she gets back. I'm Adiza. Okay, well, remind me not to have too much ale and try to say that too many times. It almost becomes laughter with the Greyjoy men. But they all quiet down when she looks over her shoulder at them. And so, how about you tell us then who you have with you? Well, the men are under my command. I am Queen Yara Greyjoy, as you already know. This here is my paramour. Uh, he's your husband. Yes, is that a problem? You think that's funny? Well, what I heard, even though I'm just from the lineage of Blackfire, the Queen Yara I heard was a rough and tough lady and she was never going to get married. Well, somebody has to do the job of having an heir, don't they? I don't see you having some miracle and having a kid. David just holds up his hand, shakes his head. I'll surrender to that one. Besides, Mr. Funny Man, uh, I have an appointment with Kinvara, and since I don't associate with Blackfires, although I can understand you being sworn to protect her, why aren't you protecting her? I was ordered to stay here. She has, as I said, 3 new dragons, and I would merely be in the way. I don't ride dragons. Yes, unfortunately for you. Okay, so as now they're discussing things, Kinvara sees them and is making her way down. So, um, forgive me for asking, Your Grace. I see that your husband, or I guess he would be king. Yes. Well, he was called Carl the Maid, but I had my choice, and, well, I don't know, something about him. Just figured I needed somebody that's not too tough, but maybe somebody that isn't, well, not that I want an easy guy, but someone that is willing to do whatever I tell him. And, well, like I said, somebody has to have an heir. And since I'm a queen, and queens usually have heirs, well, he says somebody that I knew for the longest time. So he wanted the job, and now he has it. But I still have the last word, and he has accepted this. And not that I make him pack around our child all the time, but I want our child to get used to being on sailing vessels, as I was when I was small. This baby girl here is Princess Asha Greyjoy. Wow, she has the largest, beautiful eyes. You think so? I can't really tell. Um, As to whose eyes they are, some say they're mine, others say they belong to Carl here. I guess we decided to settle the argument, say she has both her eyes, that's why they're so large. Well, I am a proud father, and I am happy to do as Queen Yara, um, wife and queen, tells me what to do, packing around our daughter. I have no problem with this. Yes, it seems to be the one thing that he's actually happy to do. Not that he complains or anything, but he's not lazy either. Greetings, everyone, and Your Grace. I am surprised that you are here. Yes, I haven't heard from you, and I figured it was about time to see the proof for myself about Queen Daenerys being back from the dead. Is she here? Everybody says she's gone. Yes, she has a new alliance, one who was thought to be dead as well. Her story is slightly different than that of Queen Daenerys. She has to liberate Highgardens from a sellsword. Oh, let me guess. Would that be the one who wants to be a lord, or he thinks he is a lord, but his name is Bronn? Yes, that would be the one. And I hear she's got 3 new dragons. Yes, one is a she-dragon. A she-dragon. Yes, it's. I know what a she-dragon is. It's bigger than a male dragon. Well, if Bronn's smart, he won't put up a resistance on that one, because I hear she-male dragons are a lot more fierce. Of course, then that's only fitting because most queens are more fierce than their husbands. Well, anyway, I have good news for you. Although I was expecting it would be delivering the new throne at this time. Well, certain developments have come up. We seem to be having, as I said, first, she's assisting a new alliance, Queen Margery. In fact, there'll probably be a war starting before too long. They're meeting at the Stronghold Fort in Highgarden. We've also had some disturbances, as I'm sure most likely King's Landing knows about now. Um, One, there is one that everybody thinks is a pretender, goes by the name Aegon VI. Apparently, he sacked one of the stronghold forts in the Reach belonging to Lord Gendry Baratheon of House Baratheon. And then they had another skirmish that I hear that the House Tully has been reinstated. And then there's a great vast army of unknown origin heading somewhere this direction, most likely wanting to cross the narrow sea to get to Essos to reach some destination, I guess. But where, I have no idea. In any case, that's what the rumor is. Because he doesn't stop, it, or whatever this leader is, who is very tall, from what witnesses who survive, is passing through each of their house kingdoms, has stated. He only makes a destruction pathway as he's traveling, but they feel that he's on a particular destination, as he has winding his way in such an odd way that it's not for Westeros. Possibly somewhere in Essos. That's all best that anyone can figure. I see. Is it here? Yes. I have it hidden amongst the cargo, so nobody will get any ideas or make. Not that any of my men would say anything, because they know better, but so to keep the appointed elected King Brandon unawares that there is a new Iron Throne of Swords made. By being that so tall, it had to be made in such a way that it had to be pieced together because Otherwise, it wouldn't fit too well below decks. But it can be put together and easily fastened so it won't come apart. Very good. Well, this will be quite the thing then. But I feel that we may have to postpone the placement of the new Iron Throne because of this large unknown origin army that's moving forward. It has been discussed so far, and we've got to present our case to Queen Daenerys when she returns, that we may have to give assistance to anyone who is willing to stand up against this one, at least until he tells us what his objective is. And since he's creating such a destruction, we may end up again in another type of war. Then we will confront and make our presence known once and for all to the appointed elected three-eyed raven, King Brandon. Yes, I can't wait to see that. Of course, he'll be disappointed seeing how I told him long ago when we appointed him. My first sworn oath was to Queen Daenerys. I'm sure the Prince of Martwll can recall that as well, although he seems to be very quiet and I don't hear from him much these days. Yes, well, we're not sure why he hasn't said nothing. I'm sure he'll be making his presence known soon enough, and I'm sure he will pick Daenerys' side, even if he hasn't done much. However, there's also more news that, speaking of the Kingdom of Martell, it seems like they have a queen after all these centuries. That queen, well, this is getting better and better by the time and passing of the moons. More queens, just what our world needs. Whenever men seem to rule, they always make a mess of things. Yes, I quite agree. So, would you care to be our guest in the castle while we wait for her return? All right, then. And your ships, feel free to have them anchored so that when the time comes, we can take the new Iron Throne of Swords for the final confrontation, although Brandon being passive, I don't see him wanting to start a war. He'll merely just most likely see us in numbers and give up. I know they have sailing vessels, but he's not going to be one to start a war. That's just not how the Brandon that we know. Yes, well, then that would make things a lot easier. So with that, they all make their way towards the Dragonstone Castle to wait Daenerys' return from making her presence known as a symbol of force to get Bronn to surrender the House Tyrell of Highgardens. And so back at the reoccupied castle house Blackfire in the mountainside of Westeros, Prince Aegon VI now concludes his historical coverage with the visionary who serves his aunt, Queen Daenerys Stormborn Targaryen. And so that is the history. I take good faith that you will make sure that the truth of what happened to me since I was born and being swapped out by Lord Varys, the one who known as the Master of Whispers, or as others used to call him from what I've heard, the Spider, will be told so that even though Lord Tywin Lannister being deceased, that his lies can be finally eradicated once and for all. Yes, we will make sure that this is actually put in as an update revision, that the one who thought was killed by Sir Gregor Clegane, known as the Mountain Who Rides, did not know or was aware that you were swapped out for a commoner's baby after blood money and travel money was paid to the mother commoner of the one swapped out for you. Good. I, obviously being a baby, could not protest the swapping me out for a commoner's child, but what's done is done. And so, even if I should not survive this upcoming war, for which I am sworn as my destiny to assist Lilith on, even though her long-lost brother, the many-faced god, is supposedly on the way, based on, well, the kind of looks at him and he looks at her. Well, certain info that I don't believe I'm obligated to share, Lilith knows he's on the way. So, should I not survive this war, I think the truth should be known. I did survive, and my best friend is Edric Baratheon. I, by my decree, removed his bastardy. He is the half-brother to Gendry. It would be nice to know, so if I have to call on my best friend for assistance during this war, and should he not survive, at least the two of them, being half-brothers, could at least get to know one another. It might be the only chance they ever get. Yes, very interesting. Well, I will make sure your history gets put out there. Thank you. And hopefully I've been a good host. Sorry to force you into guest rights. But as I said, we can't have everybody knowing that we're here. It could prevent our mission from being a success, if you know what I mean. Yes, I give you my word, I will not say your location. But, would you have anything you'd want your aunt to know? Yes, tell her that her nephew has never forgotten her. While I may not remember seeing her when she was a child, because I was just a babe, I do live, perhaps, if she, as you say, has 3 new dragons, and she decides to lend assistance on the Legion of Doom who follows this Dark Lord Vizier, Valdarr, perhaps we might meet each other. But as to how the war will come out, or whether I should live or die, is uncertain. I really don't like how this discussion goes. I think I've told you, my dear husband, that I don't like to think the worst. Yes, and I know what you're saying, but you have to realize you have to prepare in case the worst happens, that I don't. And what of our child? Child, I am expecting. How come you didn't say anything before? Because you were so busy, and I didn't want to put any more pressure on you since you had that night raid that you had to take care of. Well, while I do appreciate you trying to make my task easier of not having too many pressures, my dear wife, you could at least said something. Yes, well, you're going to be a father soon, and this will be a new prince. Or maybe a princess, it's hard to say. Well, I am happy. Good. And I promise I won't speak negatively about this again. So she walks off for a brief moment. Then he looks to make sure his wife's not listening. Anyway, you know what I've told you. Yes. There's no guarantee that I might or might not live. I know my wife doesn't like me talking about these things because she, well, even though she comes from the lineage of House Blackfire, she has to understand that in times of war, just as it was for my father Rhaegar, Prince Rhaegar didn't make it either. So I have to look at the thing of the upcoming unknown origin war tactic by this Valdarr. I might not make it back. It would at least be nice to know that my name will be in the annals so people will remember me. I may have not been a chance to be a king, but at least it will show that I was not murdered by the orders of Lord Tywin at the hands of the mountain who once rode before he died. Well, as I said, Prince Aegon, I will make sure that the truth shall be known for all time. Thank you. My lady warrior knight here, Melissa, yes, could you first show an escort to the red-robed strangers led by the black-robed one to the outer gates, and then come back and escort our gentleman, visionary here, to the gates as well? Yes, I should go ahead and do that. So she goes off and escorts the red-robed bloodlords, led by the leader in the black robe, to the outside gates and instructs the guards to stand by and make sure they don't go anywhere as she returns to the castle, then to escort the elderly gentleman, visionary. I have always wondered what it would have been like if I ever had a chance to live my life again. I'm sorry, I beg your pardon. Well, I didn't get to grow up with most of my family. No thanks to King Robert I Baratheon, pretty much our family was destroyed. My father was killed by him. My uncle, Viserys, got killed by wild savages, and yet I've yet to find out why. Perhaps I'll never know. Depends if I survive the war. But even if I didn't, whatever happened that caused him to pick savages as an army, it doesn't make no damn sense. And then there's my aunt. What had she been doing ever since she was growing up? All these things I've missed. And then my sister, who was killed by the Armory Lorch, who I've yet to settle a score with. Lilith seems to hold up some kind of scroll message. Well, I guess it's time. I see the Lady Meleys is back for us to call a party. Yes, and I am happy to have been of service to you, Your Grace. Well, it was nice meeting you. Prince Aegon VI Targaryen's wife then walks back in. As it was you also, Your Grace. Perhaps, maybe, if when all these wars are settled, we can actually have a time of peace to visit. That would be the preferred thing, as I know Aegon VI Targaryen would prefer that as well. So with that, then, Meleys, after he humbly bows before Prince Aegon VI Targaryen and his wife, takes his leave with Meleys, escorting him to the outside gates as well. You had some news for me, Lilith? Yes, I took the liberty to investigate this one that you want to have a meeting with to charge for the murder of your sister and have it judged by trial by combat. Oh, did you find out his location? Yes, in a crypt. Well, I can't fight him in a crypt. No, I think the point is you're not going to be fighting him at all. Huh. So she hands him a scroll, and it only shows like a artist's rendition of him. And he reads at the time he was killed at a place called Harrenhal. Huh, lucky bastard. Well, I guess that takes care of that then. Yeah, I guess I won't get the chance to tell him what I think of him, how he treated my sister. But then again, I guess we could count that as justice. So with that then, I guess the next thing is for me to make my next plan. Well, remember, Valdarr is on the move, and it won't be too long before he finally makes his way this direction. Yes, I know. So I'll have to make sure whatever I'm going to do quickly. So what is your plan then? Well, in the event I shouldn't survive this battle, and I'm not saying I won't, but then again, as I was being honest with the visionary, I have to prepare for the worst in case I don't. So I'm going to pay my dear half-brother Jon Snow, or should I say Aegon VII, a visit. I'm not a kinslayer, but after I give him a piece of my mind as to what I think of his tactic he used, even though I might be convinced to not agree with my aunt's decision of acting in rage, her life was not his to take. Be it makes him a queenslayer and a kinslayer. But he does not know she's back from the dead, as was confirmed by the visionary. And I've yet to meet my aunt. Hopefully, I might, even if it's just for a brief moment. Well, time will tell. In any case, you'll have to make sure that you hurry back, because it's just a matter of time before we end up facing Lord Valdarr. She then grabs her chest suddenly, and almost like she wants to stoop over. Are you okay? Should I stay instead? No, it's fine. It's not something an immortal, like myself, would feel. I'm pretty certain my brother has felt the same. Does this mean anything? Yes. My long-lost brother is on the move. He will be here soon as well. She looks at her jewel, and it now is glowing. And I'm sure his has the same effect as you see what's going on with mine. Okay, but please, do you go face and confront your half-brother, as I trust you will not be a kinslayer, and say what needs to be said, and make sure you return back here, for I am in charge of making sure your safety, and we must face Valdarr once and for all. I understand, and I will do that. Well, as he gets ready to go, Lady Mayleys comes in with a man and woman, not too shabby looking, but very well dressed. Your Grace, we have a couple of visitors that just came to us from Martell. Martell? What in the heck are they doing way up here? Well, this here is Damon Sands. An honor to meet you, Your Grace. Yes, and I am Aegon VI Targaryen. Um, and so you're from House Martell. Well, I serve the Kingdom of Dorne for the House Martell of the Sunspear Kingdom. Okay, well, welcome. I was just heading out, but I'm sure I could spare a few moments. Well, you might have to spare a little more than that. And then he looks towards Ariana's direction. I present to you, after many centuries, Dorne's newly appointed Sunspear ruler of House Martell, Queen Arrianne Martwll. A queen. Aegon the Sixth Targaryen's not sure what to make of this, and his wife then steps forward. I am Prince Aegon the Sixth Targaryen's wife and princess. Um, Welcome to our place. You two are married? Yes. Queen Ariana Martell almost seems disappointed, but doesn't let it show on her face. So then it becomes a suspenseful situation where Prince Aegon VI Targaryen meets Queen Ariana Martell, and his wife looks at Damon Sands as well, for this is quite the unusual meeting. Lilith, being one of Hein, Present, and Foresight, slightly smiles and finds this amusing because she knows what the objective of Queen Arrianne Martwll was, that Prince Aegon VI is not looking for a second wife. Fascinating. Very fascinating, is all she says, as she looks them both over. And thus ends the meeting of Queen Arrianne Martwll and Prince Aegon VI Targaryen. At the House Tyrell's stronghold fort academy, they are preparing for all the houses that are sworn to them to get ready to engage the sellsword Lord Bronn, as he calls himself, of House Tyrell, and ready to face him off. Your Grace, are you sure Queen Daenerys is going to show up? Yes, she said that she would be here because, as I had done her a favor, she had in advance for her doing me a favor to show her strength to force him out. I don't believe Daenerys is one to go back on her word. All right, then. I'll have everybody get mounted. So he gives the signal, and everybody mounts the great army of horses, pikemen, anything you can think of, and are all in preparation to start moving forward. As they start leaving the Stronghold Fort Academy and get on top of the hill, you can see Highgarden from a distance. There's a certain bridge, though not in view, that they will cross. Then, for some strange reason, Queen Margery decides to look up. Well, what do you know? And in a distance, she sees an all-white dragon, followed by two other dragons, one green and one red. Then she looks over at the knight, who also looked up in the sky as to what Queen Margery's looking at. So, my dear lord, you were saying? I was saying you're absolutely right. She is on good time. So with that, Margery just has a slight smile and doesn't say another word. This, however, is where it ends, to be continued for the confrontation with Lord Bronn.